This week, Volkswagen Jetta Gli. This is really the GTI version, but in the Jetta form, I could say. Myself, I used to own a GLI back in the day with a VR6. So this one, it's the sport version of the Jetta, obviously. Those new Jettas are a bit bigger than the one I used to own. Price-wise, the base Jetta Gli starts around 32,000 Canadian. And the one I'm driving this week, it's around 34 to 35,000. Design-wise, the GLI's got a few bits and pieces, you can notice it's a GLI. First of all, it's a grille. You got that signature grille with that red insert in the middle with the GLI badge. You've got those new LED signature lighting around the headlights. Really good looking at night. On the side, you can notice those Volkswagen wheels. It really looks like Volkswagen wheels, I could say. You've got the badge of GLI on the side. And if we step in the back of this Jetta, you've got that really small duck spoiler. It's part of the GLI package. As you can notice, the GLI, it's not an over-the-top sport version, I could say. It's really undercover for a sport version. One of the big plus of this new generation of Jettas, it's really the trunk. You've got a massive trunk. This is one of the main difference between generation of Jetta. This one is way bigger, but you get way much more space in the trunk and also in the rear seats. Under the hood of this Jetta Gli, one of the key features why you're gonna pay a premium price, it's really the powertrain. You can find a 4-cylinder, 2-liter turbo, good for 228 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. Yes, it's the same powertrain you can find in a Golf GTI. This engine is matched to a 7-speed auto DSG Tiptronic transmission, and you can also get the 6-speed manual. So yes, you've got a unique engine when you step up to the GLI. So let's go on the road to see if this GLI is worthy of that GLI badge. Volkswagen Jetta Gli launch control. Okay. All right, behind the wheel of the Jetta Gli. I was expecting a bit more sportiness for the GLI. When you're really in drive mode or even in sport mode, you don't feel really behind the wheel of a sport sedan. You really need to put your transmission, your mode, and lock it also your transmission in manual mode so you can shift that DSG with the paddle shifter. Now, when you put all these functions into work, you can really push the powertrain and have some fun with it. But otherwise, you just feel in a normal sedan. Interior-wise, everything is plain and simple. You got that tilted screen, really directed to the driver. I like that screen. It's all digital. Also for the cluster, those look good. Steering wheel-wise, everything feels kind of a bit like an Audi. On that side, it's really good looking. Also practical to use. There's a place to put my phone and recharge it wirelessly. Again, you got some buttons here to change your modes. When you change your modes, it changes a little bit the behavior of the car. Also, you got an adaptive suspension on this one. I don't see a huge difference between comfort and sport, but there's a little difference there. Also, when you put it in sport, you've got those fake engine sound pump inside of the cabin. I don't really like that, especially myself. I used to own a GLI with a VR6. From my point of view, the VR6 is one of the best sounding engine on the market. We used to be on the market, I could say. Otherwise, you've got those sport seats. You got some nice support, but for me, I wish I could lower down a little bit lower to the ground. I feel I'm driving really high I still have some space for my head, but just the driving position for me, I wish I would be a little lower. I sit way too high. I don't feel comfortable. I feel not in a sports sedan. I feel like I'm inside of a Toyota Camry or so, really a boring sedan the way I'm sitting inside. For that point of view, it's a big down point for me. On the performance side, you know, I was able to do the 0 to 100 kilometers around 6.7 seconds. It's decent. It's still a sedan. It's still a front-wheel drive. You've got a locking front differential on this car, on the GLI. That's going to help you to launch this car. Speaking of launch, you've got a launch control. You've got a lot of wheel spin when you're using the launch control. And obviously, again, it's a front-wheel drive. It's fun to launch. You can do some decent launch, I could say. On that side, you can have some fun. But overall, you don't feel inside of a fun car. You really need to push the envelope of everything to feel the fun of the GLI, I could say. I'd rather drive a GTI any day of the week. Yes, the GTI has got a tougher ride, I could say. Yes, this one is way more comfortable, but it's less fun to drive. Fuel economy wise, this week I was able to do around 9.3 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and about 7.2 liters on the highway. For the size of these new Jettas, those larger Jettas, I could say, it's pretty decent, you know, especially for a sport model like the GLI. But again, you know, when you put it in a drive mode and just a normal mode, it feels just like a normal sedan. The way the transmission shift and all that, that's why you're still able to do some fuel economy numbers. But overall, you know, this week I was a little bit disappointed. I was expecting more from the GLI badge. Yes, this car is pretty practical on a daily basis. You got space in the back, you have a huge trunk, you've got a decent ride, and on the weekend, if you want to have some fun, you still can push the envelope of this car. But for me, I don't feel the GLI I was used to back in the day. That, you know, German Spice, that special edition from Volkswagen, I don't feel in a really sports sedan, a special edition from Volkswagen. So from my point of view, these cars are really Americanized, you know, larger, bigger, more practical for everyone. But the true Volkswagen enthusiasts won't be pleased with this generation of GLI. So don't forget to subscribe and like and share my video, and we're gonna see each other on the next car review.